Hi, welcome to Hospitality Live with Rupesh. Each week, we feature an industry leader that will share the latest trends and the best strategies to help you grow. Now, welcome your host, Rupesh Patel.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm super excited about this conversation today. Welcome to the show. It is episode number 66, and I finally got that transition right. I always mess that transition up, and Sarah always points that out to me. I'm just kidding. Guys, welcome to the show. This is episode number 66. We are live, and I always say live on the internet, so my kids make fun of me because I say that. Guys, let me know if this is live and if you see it on LinkedIn or on YouTube. We're broadcasting live from both of those channels. I'm super excited. This episode is number 66. This is Road to Recovery series, and we're going to talk about how to use more powerful words in hospitality to grow yourself and the rest of our teams. I love this episode, and this is with my good friend that we've been connected for so long here on LinkedIn that it's a pleasure to have him back on. He is the leadership expert, speaker, author. He does everything. Jones Loflin. I'm super excited to have him on. And guys, if you're a hotel manager, a leader, and let me make sure that we are on live because I don't see anybody commenting. Guys, somebody comment. Let me know we're actually on live, so that way we can see this going. All right, yeah, I think we are live. Guys, comment. Let us know. Hit the like button and comment. And let us know where you're watching from. And let me just post this up real quick, and hopefully you can get this. Hey, welcome. See where you're watching from. All right, so if you're a hotel manager, leader, supervisor, owner, this episode is value-packed just for you. For all of us, guys, hit the like button, comment. We're giving away a $50 Amazon gift card. And good morning. Let's just see where people are watching from. Good morning from Maryland. Good morning, guys. Yes, they are saying I am on, or we are on live. Thank you so much. Good morning, Sandra, Kamal, Daytona Beach, Kevin, Jane. Guys, welcome to the show. I see a lot of familiar faces here. Welcome, Kevin from Orlando. Guys, welcome to the show. All right, so this week's sponsor is, again, let me pull this up real quick. It is smartguests.com. Guys, if you want to improve your guest satisfaction scores, if you want to improve your reviews, hit up smartguests.com. And let me take this banner off so you can see the URL. It is smartguests.com. Over 4,500 hotels within the United States and Canada use this website to improve, like I said, their service, their customer service, their operations, a little bit of everything. Somebody put this in the comments and let somebody know that they can click on it. And good morning to Texas, guys. Good morning to everybody here on the show. Hit up Smart Guests, guys. Simple tool as a review card that you hand out or that you have at the desk or you leave in the room. Something that gets them reminded that when they get home, they post a review, right? There's also the digital platform that you can use to send an email out, right? After the guest stay, guys, go to smartguests.com and thank you so much to the sponsor. Guys, next week, I'm super excited about this. We have a new sponsor. It's SGS, and if you haven't heard of them, they're exactly what we're looking for as far as, and let me read this because I wrote this down because I want to make sure I don't mess it up. All right, so I'm super excited to have this sponsor on for next week and in the future episodes. It is, guys, what do you think about the future of cleanliness? Is it always going to be there? That's the question to you. Like, is cleanliness going to matter in the future after the pandemic's done, after everyone's kind of like back to normal? Will this be something that is still important? And I would love to hear in the comments if cleanliness and sanitization are still going to be important after all this is done, because I think it's going to be important. I think people are going to still look at, is this hotel, because we're so used to it this last 6 months or a year that, we wanted to make sure that they were taking these practices and making sure that they were keeping guests safe, making sure the employees, the teams, the guests, or the entire staff was safe, and they were taking protocols. Because I still feel like even after you have it's like the flu, right? You get a shot, but it's still spreading around. So we don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I still feel like this is going to be important moving forward. And this is what SGS helps with. And I'm going to read this real quick. SGS is the world's leading inspection, verification, and testing certification company. With their clean and disinfectant verification services, they help hotels and travelers like all of us with unbiased approach to cleanliness, which is super important. And I'm super excited to have them become a sponsor. And you're going to be hearing a lot from them next week. Let's bring on Sarah now with what's going on in hospitality. But before I get to that, it's mindset time. And guys, every week I share a mindset about something that's on my mind that could help all of us grow. And this week it is this. It is no one believed in me until I started believing in myself. Now, super deep if you think about it, because a lot of times we're like, oh, I want to help this person out. I want to do this. I want to make them happy. But guess what? If you're not happy yourself and you're not fulfilled and you're not content and you don't have that passion in you, then you are not able to, inspire others. And if no one believes in you until you start believing in yourself, and guys, have you noticed that in your life? And this is kind of clarity when you're talking about thinking deeper into your life, is like, I had to go through this process where I was like, well, I need to start believing in myself. Like, I know I can do it. I can be on the show. I can inspire just like 2 people if that's okay. And then once I get that mindset, then you can start helping others. And I think that's very powerful when you're thinking about improving yourself, growing yourself as a person. And we all do every single day. It's part of the learning. And that's my mindset this week. Let's bring on Sarah, because I want to know what's going on and let me take this banner off real quick. I want to know what's going on in the world of travel and all the stuff that's happening. There's so much is changing. The election now, and let's get your intro together.
Hi, I'm Sarah Dandishy from Ask a Concierge. Every week, I'll be sharing the latest hospitality and travel news and updates in a segment we like to call Hospitality Minute.
All right. Tell us what is going on in hospitality, because there's so much that's changed in the last week and so many new stories that came up. I'm like, whoa, what? That's a story. And last week you shared where somebody got jailed. In the last couple of weeks, you shared somebody got jailed for writing
TripAdvisor, in Thailand. It's great. Yeah, there's definitely a lot that's been going on for sure. So I know it's always interesting to kind of comb through and see what's happening and hopefully give us an idea as far as the future. So yeah. Should I dive into the hospitality minute?
Dive right in.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to talk about a couple different things today. There's been a recent merger with Accor Hotels and Hoxton Hotels as well to form a lifestyle giant, which I will talk about in a bit. Hotel direct bookings have actually been up. I'll talk a little bit about that and whether it's going to continue to hold up through the future. U.S. travelers were flocking to leisure markets during the Thanksgiving holiday week. Why was that unusual? And then also the big thing that I think a lot of us heard is that Sunday was actually the busiest day for U.S. air travel since the pandemic began. So we'll dive into these topics. The first one, this big merger that's happening with Accor and Hoxton Hotels to form this lifestyle brand giant. Now, why this is so interesting is that we've certainly seen this trend over the past couple of years in these lifestyle brands, and that we've actually seen mergers or acquisitions happen in the past. And a lot of people are critics, I guess you could say, have been looking at it to see like, okay, are they going to lose their uniqueness? Because that's quite often what is so much of their appeal. So kind of like when Kimpton and Thompson Hotels were purchased by big brands like Hyatt, they're also looking at this. Is there going to be a change to the brand? And so it'll be Ennismore, and they're going to actually keep their name as well too. So it'll definitely be really interesting to see what ends up happening in the future. Hotel direct bookings. I know that probably all of you are very excited about this. I was excited about this. So previously, prior to the pandemic, we were seeing that there was an increase in more hotel direct bookings. A lot of that had to do with just certainly like the bigger brands like the Marriott's, Hilton's, et cetera, really pushing their loyalty programs and then apps and making it so easy to kind of book. So more people were going and doing that. So we were seeing that trend. And now during the pandemic, it has continued, which is really great, quite frankly. So the big question is now after the pandemic, will people still continue to really book direct? I personally think that they will. I mean, again, with loyalty programs and right now people being so mindful as far as how far they can take their dollar, which you can really take your dollar a lot further with loyalty programs. So that's been a huge thing, and I think all of us in the hotel industry get very excited about. Now so U.S. travelers flock to leisure markets during Thanksgiving. Now, why was this so interesting? Is obviously, for all of us within the United States, we were seeing a lot of information out there, the CDC coming out being like, Americans don't travel for Thanksgiving. And a lot of people were like, you know what? We are. And they chose to go to all of these leisure markets, places like Key West, Vail, Santa Barbara were all very, very popular. And then even pre-booking was up as well too. So definitely warmer places like Florida, Texas, Arizona, South Carolina as well. And even Hawaii, even though Hawaii has these like travel restrictions that are kind of like getting a little bit more and more, have more requirements, people were still like, we're going to Hawaii. So that was pretty interesting to see how things have changed. All right. And then our final topic for today, Sunday was the busiest day for U.S. air travel since the pandemic began. And again, as I just had mentioned, with the CDC coming out, really urging Americans to not travel, it just went to show that people were still like, no, we're going to travel. Now, keeping in mind, numbers were still down from last year. So we're not talking about numbers that were necessarily on par with what they were in 2019, but it did show that a lot of people were traveling. And interestingly enough, more were willing to fly as opposed to drive, where traditionally speaking, Thanksgiving, a lot of people drive. So definitely pretty interesting. And that's it for today's Hospitality Minute.
Great job, Sarah. You always do an awesome job. Now, I'm interested in that direct booking because, early on in the pandemic, we noticed that we were getting a lot of OTA bookings more than we were direct. And so that has slowly shifted over. And I would like to see more detail of what brands are seeing an increase over the OTAs and just get a little bit more detail. Do you have any insights on that?
Well, I do. I mean, I know that, for example, what they were kind of finding is, and even I think Arnie Sorensen from Marriott even came out and said that they were getting something like 75% of their bookings off of direct bookings, which is extremely high.
Right.
But we are seeing again, like the other major brands. I think Hilton was about like 55-60%, which is still really high. And then I think even Hyatt was just like below that at about like a 45%. So, but again, it's a little bit more of like the bigger umbrellas. So the bigger brands. And again, it's really the loyalty programs, but then also because everybody was really kind of veering more towards, okay, well, I guess we're going to be doing more mobile check-ins, even though that was always available with these larger brands. People are more mindful of it and they're opting for these mobile check-ins to minimize the contact. So they just want to go ahead and just get everything set on their phone and their apps, which is again has kind of worked with more of these direct bookings. So curious to see. Does that kind of give you a little bit more detail?
It does. I'll ask you some hard questions next week.
Please do.
Where can people find you? Sarah, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Where can people find you?
Thanks. Yeah, of course. You guys can find me all over the internet, as you said earlier.
With an S.
The internets. So Ask a Concierge on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Or you can always go to my website, askaconcierge.tv. Or, of course, please connect with me on LinkedIn.
Sarah, it's a pleasure having you on. We'll see you next week, guys. She has a huge following on Instagram, huge following on YouTube. Subscribe to both of them and hit that alert button. So anytime she gets a video that posts, like I feel like you post a video every single day, which is awesome.
Not quite.
So guys, follow her. Thank you so much, Sarah. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
See ya. All right, guys. On to the show. I'm super excited about this conversation. Now, words mean everything, especially when you're talking about hotels and hospitality. Our featured guest today, let me just bring him on real quick because he's been on the show. You're no stranger to the show. You were on episode number 55. Welcome, Jones Loflin.
Hey, it's great to be back, Rupesh. In fact, one of the things I love about you, among me, is you save me money. The way you save me money is I don't need to drink coffee in the morning when I know I'm going to do a show with you because I can just feel my body going, yeah, because of your great energy. So thank you for saving me a few cents today on my cup of coffee.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to speak with you again. And this time we're talking about words. The last time, episode 55, was how to become a better presenter. And listen, it helped me out. I had a ton of notes. I went back to them. I did a little research on what you were talking about. And it's helped me. And you can see in the past, 10 shows that I've improved kind of how I present this show. And it's some of those tips that you shared with me. So thank you so much for that. And today's episode is how to use more powerful words in hospitality to make a difference for our team, ourselves, and help us grow. And my first question is, why do words matter? And this is for any business, right?
Sure. Yeah. Why do words matter? Well, the thing about it is that we've commoditized, words, because we're social media, we're texting, we're, maybe once in a while on a phone call, we're having, we just don't stop and think about the power that words have to influence our emotions and our attitudes. And nowhere is that more prevalent than in hospitality, and how you have this really quick interaction with maybe a team member or a guest, and choosing the right words in that moment can have a monumental difference in the outcome of that conversation.
Absolutely. I think it's important when we're interacting with our teams, we're interacting with our vendors, interacting with our guests, that use the proper words, and you can make a huge difference. And we were talking prior to the show, is I've read a few books on influence, and the words that you choose are super powerful, and they can change the way people feel. And these words happen to you every single day. They affect you every single day, even if you don't notice it, right? Even if you are just going through your life, people are using these words to make a difference for themselves, good and bad. And if we're talking about a book, Influence and Prefluence by Dr. Cialdini. He's a professor at Arizona State. He shares so many different insights on words. And I think when we can understand how to use some words for the betterment of ourselves and our hotels, I think it's huge. And in hospitality, it's all about words. And we'll get into those words that make a big difference. But what mistakes, I like to uncover the mistakes first before we get into the positive side of things. What mistakes are people using that you see every single day that we can catch ourselves, right?
Yeah. And this is where I love involving your participants, because they too, like you, have so much energy around any topic we're talking about. I talk about a thing called trigger words. And there are words and phrases that we use that immediately, it's just almost like someone shoving us or us tripping in conversation, because it causes a disconnect. And here's where I want your listeners today to throw us some ideas in the chat. Let me give an example of a trigger word that causes you to have an immediate disconnection with someone you're talking to. Okay, Rupesh, if you're really angry or upset or excited about something, and I look at you and I say, Rupesh, just calm down, do you look at me and go, thank you? I didn't realize I needed to calm down. I am so grateful for you for telling me to calm down. What impact does that have on you when I say to you, just calm down?
And I feel like it agitates people when you hear, just calm down, right? It would be like, you're not helping me. You're
exactly
telling me what to do.
Yeah. So I would love to hear from your folks. What are some of the phrases that people use with you? Now, I'm sure you don't use any of your own, but what are some of the words or phrases that people use with you that cause you to immediately kind of, ooh, it's like that wasn't helpful in building connection with that other person. And so, what words could we see? Let's look over in the chat and see what kind of words we come up with.
Yeah, guys. But by the way, Jones, we're giving away a $50 Amazon gift card before this show is over. So the most engaging person will win, and we'll send it to you today if you're chosen. So the person with the most engaging comments, the most engaging here is gonna win. So, and I'm gonna be reading those comments. So let us know, what are some words, and we'll continue the conversation if nobody has something or just want to share something. I think it's important when that you say calm down, or you feel like,
or why do you say that? When someone says to you, why do you say that? That comes across judgmental. Just the word why. All of a sudden I've got to defend myself in my suggestion or what I'm saying, versus using a more positive way that invites me to give my reason. I mean, I think
Right.
that's certainly an example. Oh, and now you've got some popping up. I love what Todd said. It's against our policy. Oh, isn't that a great one? No. Yeah, I mean, not my job. Yeah. Has anybody put up a no problem yet? You know, I'm sure it is, because one of the things for me back in the days when I used to travel, you know, when you would check in at a hotel and I'd say, you know, where's your fitness center and those kind of things, and I'd say, well, thank you, and they'd go, no problem. I'm like, I'm so glad to hear I wasn't a problem to you, you know.
Yeah.
But yes, not my job. However, nobody remembers anything after or before the but. You know, you can say you can say to your wife, Rupesh, I love you, but what's she going to remember?
The but, anything after the but.
Anything after the but. She doesn't remember anything you said before. I mean, so there's just so many words and phrases that we use that aren't helpful. They don't create more positive connection.
Yeah, there says no problem.
Yeah, she brought it up. Great. Oh yeah, and see, here's look at the one that Peggy just mentioned, lady. I mean, just using a term sometime with someone that maybe, you know, lady or man, or, you know, just using a phrase like that a word like that can be a disconnect. It's not helpful, you know.
Wow, great comment.
Yeah.
I'm just going back. We can't do that. I think that's, we hear that all the time where, you know, you can't do something or you're not able to do something. And definitely Peggy's right. It starts with listening. I think when you're talking about words, is first listen to what the guest is saying. First listen to what your team is saying, right? First take it all in before you just blurt something out. And I think that's like the first step in the words, using the proper words, is because if you don't understand what they're saying, then you don't know how to react properly, right?
Yeah. And that's the key point is you start by stopping. And just, you know, whether you need to take that, you know, quick breath, or, you know, a great bridge word that you can use sometimes while you're thinking about or processing, you can say, interesting. You know, you just stop it in the moment without just being emotional. You know, we respond mindfully instead of reacting emotionally. And so, yeah, it's really key just to stop and then, like you said, listen. No, well, if I'm going to listen, that means I've got to ask a question that evokes something from them so that I can figure out what words I should be using. And so some of the powerful words start even before we get to the encouragement or the solution side. One of the most powerful phrases anybody can use, help me understand. You know, anytime something's going on where you're in that emotionally charged moment and somebody's angry or frustrated with you, help me understand what caused you to be upset, or help me understand what it is that you know I could do for you. And just, you know, when we say help, that triggers something in our brains that other person goes, oh, you need help? Oh, I'd love to help. You know, help me understand is a phrase. Instead of using why, you know, what causes you to say that? How did you come to that conclusion? Walk me through the process. Yeah.
These are awesome. Jones, I know that we're talking about listening and paying attention. And tell me if this is right or wrong, because I could be wrong, is when someone says, like, say something to me.
Rupesh, why are you asking me to say something to you?
So you're asking me to say something to you, right? So you repeat some part so they know that you're listening. Is that a skill that we should learn? So if someone says, say something else, like, let's just say, give me another example.
Rupesh, what are you giving away today?
So probably giving away something. So you're asking them giving away something, like they were saying you repeat some part of what they're talking about so they understand that you're listening and that they feel like they're part of the conversation. Can you talk more about that, or is that right or wrong for me to do?
No, I mean, you're spot on. I absolutely, Rupesh, is that repeating something so, you know, that you heard them, or to simply be completely transparent. So what I hear you saying is, and here's the cool part about this. I learned this in coaching, is that, you know, when you say, so what I hear you saying is, if you get it right, fantastic. They're going to go, yeah. Here's the cool part. Even if you get it wrong, it helps, because they'll say, no, that's not it at all. what I'm trying to say is blah, 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 blah. So yeah, that moment of trying to clarify and repeat back to them what you're hearing is so key. The other thing it does, especially in those moments where there's a lot of negative energy, it begins to bring things down a little bit. It's not the defensive. It's that, okay, so what I hear you saying is, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it sounds like, yeah, and by the time you've done 2 or 3 of those transition phrases, they're in a different place. Because what do people want? People want to be seen, heard, and understood. You know,
So
and
those 3 things, is that correct?
That's correct.
I
Seen.
there you go.
Yeah.
I learned that from somebody, and I was like, that makes sense. That means that we have a connection now, that you know that I'm listening to you, we're listening to each other. Now, one other thing we talk about words is not just words that are coming out of your mouth, but your body language, which are words too. And do you have some tips for us as far as body language? Because that's a huge part of hospitality in hotels. Like if your arms are crossed, if the guests' arms are crossed, they're saying your arms should be crossed or not, or like, what is that to say that you're open to a conversation?
Right. Sure. I think, reading that other person is critical. And you're right. If you notice that they're, let's just go real simplistic. If they're closed versus open, I mean, there's no question that, when we're frustrated or angry or something, we tend to be like that. If we're more open to discussion or conversation, we tend to kind of open up our arms or just kind of be more relaxed in the way that we're standing. I think the key is, when we talk about our words and how we can make sure those words are carried correctly, here's the amazing part, and you know this so well, Rupesh, is that one of the first things we have to do is make good eye contact. How many times have people gone into a hotel and the person is, working on something and they say, yeah, great to see you today. And they'll look back down. But then, it's amazing. There's that magical moment. Now, see, it's this common stuff to you, but for us common travelers, it's not. When somebody looks at you and hands you that key and says, I hope you have a fantastic stay. Just that eye contact makes that hope you have a fantastic stay exponentially more effective because you made eye contact. It's so critical. When you're talking more about body language, just the whole thing of squaring up. If you're in conversation, if you and I are in conversation and I'm kind of standing here to the side, what's that saying to you?
Yeah, or like,
I'm ready to go. I've got somewhere else I got to be. But if I square up with you and I'm standing there and I even do the thing where I like to lean in a little bit. Now, part of that's because I've got hearing loss in one ear, but I've learned it. I can keep my arms folded. If I kind of lean in and say, wow, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Tell me more about that. It just draws that other person to want to talk to you. So yeah, we could talk all day about body language. Yeah. Lots
and I think the other thing we could add to words is, because we're going to get to those powerful words, is the smile that's on your face, that you don't look upset, right? And I think that's part of body language. And these are all mistakes that we're talking about that we can all improve on or catch ourselves when we're talking about words. And another word that I feel like I try to prevent myself from using is the word hate. Like if I do not like something, I don't say I hate it, especially at work, or especially when I'm on social media, right? That stuff lasts forever. I try to do it actually through my entire life. I just say I don't hate that, or I hate that. I try not to do that. What's another word instead of hate that the listeners, you guys can share with us? And then Jones, what's something that we can replace hate with?
I don't prefer. I'm trying to think of some ones that says my preference is not, or it's not something I enjoy, or it's not one of my favorite things. I mean, I think there's lots of way. And then the other thing is just make it positive. I prefer. Then you tell what you prefer versus what you hate. You're for something, not against something. And so often I think that's key, is that, my preference is, my experience is, so you that way it softens it, in some way. You can say I hate something, or you could say my experience with insert something has not been positive. I'd love to hear if yours has been different. And so it's creating connection there versus you just coming out with a blanket statement that says, I hate it. And then the other person's going, well, that's my favorite thing. Yeah. I mean, you've killed any chances for a conversation there, because now they're going to spend the rest of the time trying to, tell you why you're wrong. Whereas if you just say, Well, my experience has been, I'd love to hear yours. Oh yeah, mine's been the same. Well, then you can stand around and do whatever it is you're going to do. But they say, well, no, here's my experience. Wow, thank you. I appreciate that. You've enlightened me today.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're talking about mistakes in the beginning. And, another mistake that I've noticed from staying at a few hotels recently to other interactions at even a department store or any kind of store is they'll blame maybe the computer that's so slow. I hate this computer. It's so slow. We do this all the time, and we need to catch ourselves saying, I hate this computer, or this computer's so slow. It's one day and this computer's always slow. Is it the computer all the time, or is it just us making an excuse? What is a replacement for a powerful word for when your computer is not working, to kind of let them understand that you're doing your best to make the transaction quick, friendly, convenient for them, the guest?
I think being honest. I'm sorry. Or I'm sorry, this is taking a few seconds longer. We'll have you on your way in just a moment. Or just being transparent. You don't have to give any reasons why. I'm sorry. We'll have you on your way in just a moment. If you are a good conversationalist, which I'm sure you teach people in hospitality to do, is that you build that moment with something. You find a reason to talk to them from. We'll have this taken care of in just a moment. What are you looking forward to doing while you're here in Boca Raton or California or something? Just feel that with something positive versus that awkward silence that's there like, okay, I don't know why this computer's taking so long. Yeah, we've had a lot of problems lately with the computer system here. We'll have you on your way in just a minute. Fill it with something positive. While you're in town, my favorite restaurant is blah, 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 blah. Use that time positively so when they walk away, they go, wow. I forgot it took a few extra seconds because it was a good conversation.
Right. And should we always blame it on the computer? Because it's sometimes not the computer's fault, or sometimes it is. But when we're talking about a first experience or first time experience at staying at a hotel, you walk in, you're like, oh, my computer's so slow, I hate it. You're blaming something. You've heard those stories where like, I hate this computer, so slow. Right. Instead, we can turn it into something positive by asking questions. Welcome. Is this your first time here? Have you stayed with us before? All these 17. I came up with the 17 questions at the front desk and I think that's been powerful for a lot of people. But what else do you recommend? And then we'll go to the positive side when we're talking about words.
Yeah, I think exactly what you said. Anytime you take the opportunity to blame someone or something for something not going well, it gives off negative energy. I love what Tony Schwartz says, everything gives off energy. And every moment has energy. You have the opportunity to create some positive energy in that moment by the way you interact with that guest and bringing something negative in the conversation. Why do you want to do that? I was judgmental there. Why do you want to do that? But I just think it's really important that you say, okay, how could I use this moment in a positive way? What could I say in this moment to build connection, to affirm the other person? Even if it's something, while you're waiting on the process, whatever, we're so glad you chose our hotel today. How did you find it? You probably asked some of those questions at the beginning, but just finding those simple things that cause that person to go, wow. Then if you're using the good things of making eye contact, squaring up with them, they're like, this person really cares about why I chose their hotel. That makes it a more powerful, positive moment.
Okay, so now we've uncovered the mistakes that we all make. I make them all the time too, and we're here to learn and we're here to improve ourselves, and that's what this conversation is about. Let's go into the power words, the powerful words. We're talking about more powerful words in hospitality that can make a big difference. And yesterday we posted your video, your promo, and a bunch of people came through and commented. And I think the number one thing that I think a lot of people found interesting or very useful, or an insight, is use their name as a word.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Right. What can you say as far as using a guest's name?
Oh yeah, we all love to have our name shared. I think it was Todd that shared that one. But yeah, we all love to hear our name said in a positive way. It's just cool. I don't know another word for it. It's personal. It's inviting. It's engaging. It's just we all love to have our name said. I can't take it any further than that. It's probably some deep psychological thing. But even when you think about when you get a personalized email that from someone you don't even know, and they say, "Hello, Jones." I'm like, how do they know me? it invites connection immediately when you say someone's name.
Absolutely. And one tip I can include is when I send an email back or a response back, or at least just a first email, I include their name in the subject line and then what the topic was about for that email. And that way they see their name and they're like, oh, my name's on this. It's important, right? And I feel that's powerful when you're talking about, because you're communicating not only face to face, but a lot of us are texting, a lot of us are sending emails, a lot of us are doing the social media for our hotels. And this is powerful when you can use the guest's name. And thank you so much, Todd, for sharing that, because I think that's powerful that they feel good about it. And the most powerful word in the world, like you were saying, is your own name to yourself, right?
Yeah. It gives us status. It gives us dignity when people say it, especially in a kind voice. I mean, it's magic. It really is. When people, well, Mr. Loflin, it's good to see you here again today. And then they might say it 2 or 3 other times and I'm like, wow, they're remembering it. They've got it on a piece of paper in front of them, but I'm like, wow, they've said my name 2 or 3 times. It is so powerful.
Yeah, and guys, we're giving away a $50 Amazon gift card to the most engaging person here on this episode before the end of the show, and we'll definitely do that. But please tell us one hospitality word or phrase you always use, or you've heard that is like made a big difference with you, or that you've learned that you've incorporated into your hotel, or you teach to your staff and your team, and those that are hoping to grow or looking forward to growing. I think this is important. So comment, let us know.
Can I jump in on one while they're commenting, and then we'll look at their great comments. One of the ones that we hear a lot is thank you. Is thank you. I mean, it is powerful. I want to show you a way to invite even more connection with someone simply with those 2 words. Okay. Please. Listen. Okay. I'm going to say it the first way thank you. The second way, thank you. And what did I do differently there? I went up on the you, and especially if you kind of draw it out, which is easy for me because I've got a Southern drawl, but if you say, thank you, it's amazing. And your listeners today, the people who are on your show today, they're going to try this and they're going to watch what happens in response. But people are invited to say, oh, you're welcome, happy to do it, versus saying, thank you.
Can I try it?
Sure.
Thank you. And then the next would be like, thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you, or thank you. But if we go down, it's kind of puts a period at the end of the sentence. But well, thank you, and it's amazing. Yeah, again, you got to have a Southern accent maybe to really put it out there. But it's interesting how that invites people to go, wow, you really are genuinely grateful, or you're genuinely thankful in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
No. So let's see what kind of words we've got in the chat popping up here.
Okay, so I'm happy to.
Yep. Oh, can I deal with that one for a moment? Because that's one of the ones that's on my list. One of the things that happens, talking about powerful words or phrases, is that when you're in that situation where somebody makes a request of you and you're going, oh, I can't do that. A great way to start is to say, I'm happy to help. And then tell what you can do versus, well, I can't do that, but just I'm happy to help. What I can do is, reach out to my manager right now and let's talk about, what we could do. But that phrase, happy to help, I mean, it's one of those magical phrases because people, they're happy to help. They really want to help me. And then you give the scope of what's possible in that next sentence. So sorry, I had to jump in on that one.
Oh, I love that. I use I'm happy to for a lot of things. And I usually start off with like, I'm happy to understand how you feel. I'm happy to learn more about you. I'm happy to see what I can do in the future for you. Right. My schedule's full right now, but I'm happy to look at the future to see how we can make a connection or how we can help each other in the future. And they're like, oh, instead of just saying no, I've now discovered these words that you can use to make them feel good too, because they're reaching out to you for some request or another. I had a few requests now for mentorship, and I was like, I'm helping a few people out right now, but I'm happy to consider you here in the near future. And they were like, oh, instead of just saying no, like I don't have time right now. That word that made a difference was I'm happy to. So thank you so much for including that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm looking over in the chat, we've got, My pleasure, is of course is a very positive word, and then someone mentioned, I'm sorry it went away, but about tone. And, that kind of goes back to when I said about the thank you a moment ago, but just the tone of, how people say things when they say those words can just have such a greater impact when they're said in the right way. My pleasure. My pleasure. So again, go up with it versus down. It invites more energy into the moment.
And I like that we are so happy you came. That's like,
yeah,
it's keeping the entire team involved in your interaction. All right. Well, so what else? What else? I know Sarah said absolutely, which is a yes or a no.
Well, okay, Rupesh, tell me. I'm sensing that you're a little hesitant on whether that's a positive or a negative word. Tell me a little bit more about that. Do you think absolutely is positive, or is it one that maybe is not positive? What are your thoughts?
So I look at it as positive, like a positive message. Like when someone's saying, "Hey, I agree with that," I'm like, "Absolutely, I agree with that," because that means you're on their side. But sometimes you can like absolutely no is another way of like understanding what people are saying. Like absolutely, I'm not going to do that. Or definitely is another word that I use as far as like, I'm really agreeing with you. It's more of the positive side than the negative side. I definitely use absolutely a lot, especially when it's replies to emails. I'm like, I always start off, usually I use perfect. I don't know if you've noticed, but I use perfect. And then I start like, this is perfect, right? So that way they feel good, like they were included into my response. This is perfect. I love it. And then I go into the conversation if it was good or bad, right? Or whatever it was, right? And I love that we can use absolutely. That means we're agreeing with them. And that's just a word that I've always recently, in the last like 5 years, since I've learned these power words from folks like you, that I include those in our emails. I include those in our words that we're talking about, right? I think people appreciate those words.
They do. I think we absolutely, and I was just kind of joshing with you there a little bit, but I think absolutely is like a lot of other words. It can be overused if we're constantly saying, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. In a conversation, it can get old, like anything. Just like somebody mentioned, you say someone's name too many times in a conversation, it get old. Is that, if you notice you're using it all the time, is maybe vary it a little bit. Absolutely. Great idea. Wow. Tell me more about where that came from. Instead of just kind of, being affirmative, and be curious. Okay. Absolutely. Tell me more about that. Or, wow, great idea. Just, because it can get old, I think, if we're constantly using it. It's like people when they use awesome. You've been in conversations with people and they say, awesome. Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Oh, yeah, that's awesome. I'm like, well, which is it? Is it awesome 1, awesome 2, or awesome 3? We need to vary it a little bit so that it catches people, off guard and gives some variety to the conversation.
Yeah. All right. So guys, people that are listening, do you guys have a question for us? And for Jones, really the expert here as far as words, and you speak to thousands of people every year. Can I say millions of people? But
no. We're not lying here. So
your ideas have affected all of us. I mean, we've seen that, you share these leadership strategies and ideas and helped us all. What are some other words? And I'm going to share some, and I'll start off with either you're sold out or we're fully committed. Or a word to choose. Oh, we're sold out. Or actually tonight we are fully committed. However, we have this other option for you, or we have these 2 other options available for you. That way it makes your life easy tonight. I know that you're looking for a place, and we want to make sure that you're not stuck out there, right? So, or words that we can use. What are the power words that can you share?
Well, I think one of them I mentioned earlier already is just putting in the word help, because it's a power word, because it invites those other people into the conversation. Another phrase, not truly a word, but a phrase, is how might we? Is how might we? If you're working with your hospitality team, maybe you're working through a challenge, and a classic example is, the hotel manager wants to improve guest satisfaction scores or something, and the rest of the team's going, oh, he or she's already figured out how they want to do it, so we'll just see what the flavor of the month is, and we'll just kind of sit back. But if that manager goes in and says, let's talk about guest satisfaction scores today. How might we improve them from your perspective? Then it invites them into the conversation and says might, because they don't have to have the perfect answer. It's might. Doesn't say we're going to do it. And we, so it's you and me. It's not you need to do this or I'm going to do this. How might we? I think that's another phrase that we can use. It's powerful because it builds connection with the other people you're working with, especially when you're trying to work through a difficult challenge.
All right. And are these learned strategies that you learned, or you just picked up as you've been speaking and as you've been?
Oh, absolutely. Let me just stop you right there. Absolutely. The way I learned it is by having good conversation with folks like you. One of the most beautiful parts of what I've been able to do, that I've been blessed with to do in my career, is I'll be in an event and people want to go out to dinner afterwards to go get coffee or something like, and I love just listening to people and seeing the words and the phrases they use, and I go, wow, I know how that landed on me. So I'm going to try that, on someone else, and see how it works. And then it is a learned skill. I mean, that's what's so key about, you need to stop, before you give a response, instead of just, jumping into the first thing that comes into your mind, whether it be, absolutely, or why'd you do that, is to say, what would be valuable in this moment? And it'll seem awkward at first when you go, but I'm telling you, when you slow it down for just a second and come out with the right word or phrase, it can have a monumental impact on how that conversation goes from there.
So you're saying words don't have to come out just like that. You can
Right.
think about it and come back to it. One thing I thought about while we're talking about power words is, and this is coming from a 7-year-old or maybe an 8-year-old. My nieces and nephews came over for dinner a few months ago, and we made something, and we were like, so what did you think about this dish? And they're like, she said something very powerful that we always remind her, and we remind ourselves, is, she said, my taste buds are still getting used to it.
Oh,
I don't like it.
oh, yeah. Wow. My taste buds are still getting used to it. What a great way. Oh my goodness. And see, if 7-year-olds can come out with that, I mean, why can't we condition ourselves to give those responses that are more connecting in nature versus disconnecting? I love that.
Absolutely. And I was like, wow, this is amazing from a 7 or 8-year-old. And I'm going to remember that when I don't like something, or when I'm like on the fence about a dish or anything, you can think of other ways to say it, which is very powerful. Now, these words, and like we were talking about at the beginning of the show, is this can help your entire team. So this is not just for yourself. Write these phrases that Jones is sharing with us and share them with your entire team, because maybe, as we're going through this part of our industry right now, where we're hopefully growing, that we need, we might have new people that have never worked in hospitality come into this industry, and probably, like most of us, have fell into this thing or like pushed into it, right? There are new people starting in the hospitality industry every single day, and maybe they need these 10, 20, 30 different ideas that they can pull from. We're not saying read a script and then use this word like I am happy to, but give them ideas on how to make people feel special. And it's through words, it's through making connections, and using, like we were saying, using the right words can connect you and make you believe in yourself. We talked about at the beginning, right? You can use power words. It's like, is it kind of like wearing a nice outfit? You feel good about yourself?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Completely. And I want to jump back to something you just said, Rupesh, about working with, you'll say your team at that hotel, is that, you could say to that team member, when they say no problem, you could say, why'd you say no problem to the guest? Or why'd you say this is that? Instead of that, you could, come up with a phrase to say, help me understand what caused you to say that, or how was that helpful in serving the guest, or how, think of ways daily that you could interact with other members of your team. And if you model that behavior, guess what? What is it? Culture's not taught, it's caught. They'll start doing the same thing. They'll start walking around going, help me understand. And you're going to hear one say it back to you one day, and you go, I've created a polite monster. Fantastic. But it's modeling that behavior is so important.
Yeah. I like that you're saying that. Oh, I noticed that you said this. Or why did you say that? Because I think most people are like, why did you tell him that? Like, why would you say that? But instead, like, hey, would you like that, Sarah, would you like that guest to be on our side and love us and give us a great response? Next time, try this. I've done this plenty of times. I'm like, next time, try these two different things. That way you're not beating them up, but you're saying, hey, try these other ways that could help you make them happier, right?
Yeah. And I love what you said there. Next time, try this. Don't next time do this. I mean, there are some absolutes. I understand that. But next time, try this. Because here's the thing. What if you tell them to do it and it doesn't work? Well, you were wrong. But if you say to them, next time, try this, and they go, well, it worked okay. Oh, great. What do you think might work better? Where could we go from here with that? Just softening that moment can make such a difference in keeping that connection with that team member.
Right. And a lot of people are like, well, how do I get buy-in from our entire team? I want to share these different ways of doing things, but I don't get buy-in from anybody. And I think that starts with those words and getting the team involved. So do you have any tips on kind of getting buy-in from your entire team when you have this idea or this list of ideas that you want to get implemented, but they're like, you're telling us what to do?
Exactly. I think it goes back to that phrase I used earlier. It's how might we, or from your perspective, what are some things that we could be doing better, or how could we improve, what we're doing here at our property. I think it's inviting them and getting their answers, getting them to talk. And then when they give a suggestion, you just say, even if you're going, that'll never work. Oh, we can't do that. Say, tell me more about that. Yeah. Awesome. Walk me through how that might work. I mean, because even if you choose not to do it, you've shown that they have value and their opinions have value because you've invited them to give their answer. And you're thinking, well, I just want to get through this meeting. I want to tell them 3 things to do, and then we'll go get on with our day. Okay. Yeah. You may have to slow it down and take another 3 or 4, maybe 5 minutes, but that team's going to walk out of there going, hey, Rupesh is interested in what we're thinking. And then they're going to show up at your office door one day and they're going to go, hey, Rupesh, we were talking about this the other day and you asked me about this. Oh, I found a way. And you're going to go, okay. But it's cultivating that sense of your ideas are important. And using the words to get those responses out of them, I think is what's valuable.
Right. I love that. So this is Jones. We can keep talking about this for hours, and I think we're coming up to an hour, and I want to be respectful of your time. I know, where can people find you, and any last words that you have to share, powerful words?
Well, I think the key here is the phrase I used earlier is that we need to respond mindfully instead of reacting emotionally. And so many times when we don't use power words or phrases, it's because we're reacting. And so if we can stop for just a millisecond and respond with what words could I use in this situation to improve it, to help the situation? I think that's the key. As for where people can find me, certainly LinkedIn, since we're all here already, many of us, then LinkedIn is a great place for you and I to connect. Also, I'm on Instagram, Facebook. My website is jonesloflin.com, that you can certainly go there and catch me there. jonesu.com is something that's new. It came out in August. It's a series of courses that are being developed to help you make the best choices with your time. The course that's there now is Be on Purpose, how to make those mindful, intentional choices each day. And that's an on-demand course that you can take. It's available 24/7. That's jonesu.com. So that's another place that you might want to go check some things out.
Guys, if you've enjoyed this episode, which I have a whole list of stuff on my paper, like I've scribbled stuff all over the place trying to catch up with you. This has been amazing, Jones. I want to definitely have you on again for another insight here in the next few months. And thank you so much. This has been like a pleasure. And please, everybody connect with him here on LinkedIn. Hit the like button. Comment that you enjoyed his, and he would appreciate it too, right? Comment and let us know one power word that you've learned today, because I think that helps all of us see, this one thing that I didn't consider, somebody else listened and they put it in. Because that would actually prevent me from listening to this entire show and writing all the show notes. Somebody comment in the comments and let us know. And Jones, are you ready to pick a winner?
Oh, I get to pick the winner? I haven't been paying attention. I've been so engrossed in conversation, I haven't looked.
Well, let's do this. I wrote a few names down, and I want to thank everybody because you guys are super engaged. I love that every week you come on and build. You guys inspire me too. It's not just me sharing ideas with you, but you guys inspire me to keep going, because there's days I'm like, why am I even doing this? Nobody even likes this stuff. And you go on this roller coaster ride it's called life. And so I thank you guys for supporting me, supporting Jones, supporting this entire industry, because without you guys, we wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be continuing to do this. So the winner for this week's Amazon $50 gift card is Charla Alt. Yep. Congratulations, Charla. Thank you so much for your engagement here. And guys, every week we do this. Every week at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, we do this where we share insights. And by the way, next week is going to be amazing too. In the next couple of weeks, I already have people lined up. I am super excited about these conversations because it gets us fired up when things are so down right now, right? And that's what we need right now. We just need to get inspired and get these ideas to help us grow. And you never know where this takes you, right? This one word that you use might have landed you this job or got this entire team together or motivated others, which I love too. So guys, thank you so much. Congratulations, Charla. And Jones, thank you so much. Appreciate this.
Rupesh, I appreciate your energy and all the positivity that you bring into the world and for this show each week. So thank you for the impact you're having on so many.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Guys, if you liked this episode, hit the like button right now. Share this with your entire team. These words matter. Words that you use in your life matter because they can make a difference between getting a contract, getting that booking, getting that group, or not getting anything. And I think these words, if you can go back and listen to this episode, please do and share this with the entire team. Next week, we have somebody amazing on. I'm super excited about that. Guys, if you want to rewatch all past episodes, head up my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Rupesh Live. I'll have the link here at the end of the show. Guys, thank you so much. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and stay well. I'll talk to you next week.